All right. So here is probably the most important lecture that you're probably going to get. Paying for college. So how do I pay for college? How do I apply for FAFSA? How do I apply for scholarships and grants? What are financial aid packages? What are student loans? These are all questions that you're going to ask yourself once you start applying for colleges. So the first way to prepare for college expenses is to apply savings into an interest-bearing bank account. So let's take a look at a couple of scenarios and use the simple interest formula I equals PRT to see what savings account would be better paying for college. So Paul invested $1,000 during the year into his college savings account at a rate of 2%. How much interest did Paul receive at the end of the year? So we would take his 1,000, multiply it times 0.02, because remember, we want to move that 2 decimal places over. So 2%. We're moving that 2 decimal places over, okay? And then we're multiplying it by 1. That would be $20. Okay, so he earned $20 in interest. Scenario 2, Jackie received $80 in interest at the end of 2 years from her college savings account with $2,000 invested. What was her interest rate during this time? So we're going to actually solve backward. So we got $80 is equal to $2,000 for investing. We don't know the rate, and it's for 2 years. So we're going to take 80 and we're going to divide it by 4,000. We're going to take 80 and divide it by 4,000. And when we do that, we're going to get R equals 0.02, which is also known as 2%. All right, so on scenario 3, Mark received $150 in interest after 3 years at a rate of 1.5%. How much did he invest? So we're going to take 150, and we don't know what the principal amount was, but we've got our rate, and we're doing it for 3 years. So we're going to multiply this, and that's going to be 0.045 times P, and then we're going to divide by 0.045, which means that his investment would be $3,333.33. It's a lot of threes. Now, what does the cost of attendance include? So when you go to college, you have basically tuition, and then you have like any dues or anything like that. I went to UGA, so every school is different, and their tuitions are different, as well as their like dues that they make you pay and that kind of stuff. So when you open up this is from Big Future, and there's definitions of these things. So direct costs, indirect expenses, tuition, fees, institutional health insurance, and meal plans. Now, some places require you to actually do these things, and then some places don't. So for instance, on here, what is the cost of attendance? Direct costs are those paid, directly to the college. Tuition is the amount you owe to the college. Fees are additional charges. Housing is a charge from the college to live on campus. Meal plans are how you pay to dine on campus. Health insurance, indirect expenses include educational costs not paid directly to the college. So this will be textbooks, transportation, etc. Again, each college experience is going to be different. You have to look at what is most effective for you. So do you have more control over direct costs or indirect costs? The more you have more control over indirect costs, and that's because you can pick your textbook. So when you go to college, you buy textbooks. They don't give them to you. And so you can buy brand new, or you can buy used, which I highly suggest, or you can rent textbooks. So you can vary the price. Transportation, you can drive, you can take public transportation. At UGA, we had like a bus pass basically, so we could use the transportation for free. So I didn't have to drive all the time. Okay, understanding sticker price versus net price versus value. The sticker price, a college published price. Scholarships and grants, that's merit or need-based aid that you don't have to pay back. And then net price, which you actually pay, okay? So again, UGA, sticker price is $29,482. Net price is $10,468. And this is all based off of the income bracket. So that's how much people are making. So Okay, so explain why net price increases as the income of student increases. So as the net income increases, the student assistance decreases. So basically what they're assuming is the fact that your parents make more money means that they are more willing to help you than someone whose parents make less. So for scholarship reasons, your parents making less money is great. For other reasons, maybe not. So, the free application for federal student aid is a form completed by current and prospective college students to determine the eligibility for financial aid. To receive financial aid, you'll need to submit a FAFSA for each year you'll be attending college. So this happens every year. Let's take a look at some fast facts about the important process that you can help navigate your journey in paying for college. So check your knowledge. What is the chance that a FAFSA applicant will get some type of financial aid for college? This is actually 85%. 85% of applicants will receive some type of financial aid, whether that be loans, etc. How much does it cost to file the FAFSA? It's free. That's in the name. It comes out every October 1st. And which of the following do not need to file a FAFSA? Adam, a senior in high school applying to community college, Sarah, a senior in college applying to grad school, Gina, a senior in college taking a gap year before she joined the military, or Junior, a part-time student enrolling on a full-time student next year. So Gina would be it, because she's taking a year off. Okay. So once you complete the FAFSA, you're going to receive a student aid report, which is a SAR. This report will provide you with some very important information about your financial aid eligibility, how much college assume your family will need to pay, what types of other aid you might be eligible for. There's a bunch of, like, especially living in Georgia, the Hope Scholarship, Zell Scholarship, and then there's the Pell Grant, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. So there's a lot of money to have in Georgia. Now, if you go outside, then it's got some different stuff. If you go out of state, that's a whole nother thing. So take a minute and review this sample SAR, and we can open this one. Maybe. So let's go here. Sorry, I have 50 million tabs open. No. Come on, guys. Come on. There we go. Okay, so here is an example. Okay. And what we're going to do is look at Anna's expected family contribution. What does this number mean? Okay, so expected family contribution. And when you do these, you can probably just do control find expected family contributions. Where'd she go? Bam. There we go. And you can read this over. This is actually the document that you get from the colleges after you fill out your FAFSA. Normally it's on here up at the top. Sorry, should have looked at this beforehand. But literally when you fill out your FAFSA, it's like telling them your whole life story, like your mom's maiden name, your social security number, your parents' social security number. I mean, like it's got everything. Okay. So, with that being said, if you look at that, the family contribution, and I could pull it up here, but you can look at it again. This number would have been 7,256. And this is the amount that family is expected to contribute. So your parents would be paying this much. Okay, what is Anna's DRN? Okay, and what is the purpose of this number? So DRN is 4557. And if she wants to make a change to her FAFSA, she can easily find her DRN. So if she wants to make a change, she's going to need that number. Okay. Because sometimes, like, maybe you fill out the FAFSA and then all of a sudden your mom's like, just kidding, we actually made an extra $20,000 this year. That's going to impact how much financial aid you are going to get. Is Anna eligible for a Pell Grant? The maximum amount of money you can get from a Pell is $7,395. So then, yes, she's able to. And how much gross income did each of the following earn in 2020? Anna made, and again, you're looking at the document, is $2,400. Her parent is making $76,000, and her other parent makes $21,000. Okay, again, these are questions that are going to be asked on the FAFSA. And you can't lie on these. If you lie on these, then they come back and they like slap you with like really bad taxes, and they basically, I mean, they just destroy your life. So why do you think the graduation and retention rates for Anna selected colleges are displayed at the bottom of the star? How might that information impact Anna's college selection process? I think this helps decide which college to go to. So if, you know, they have a, 90% acceptance rate, but they only have a 30% graduation rate, then that means that everybody's getting accepted, but a bunch of people are either dropping out or not finishing. That's a problem. That means it's either way too hard or something's wrong. That's not right. Scholarships and grants. So now that you've submitted your FAFSA and you receive your SAR and you're now waiting to hear back, what types of aid might you receive? In this lesson, we're going to focus specifically on scholarships and grants. So take a moment and review this infographic and then answer the questions. Okay, so use the information from the slide to explain why you should accept scholarships and grants before any other types. So scholarships and grants, you don't have to pay back. Don't pay back. You can take out student loans. However, you do have to pay those back and they have interest. One of the benefits to COVID, even though everything was horrible during that time, was the fact that they postponed the payback for student loans. And so that was really a blessing for me specifically. But if it wouldn't have happened, then I would have had to pay interest as I was going along. So now that you know accepting scholarships and grants should be your first priority, you can also benefit from learning other ways to reduce the amount of tuition you'll have to pay back. So explain how transferring core credits from a community college and or testing out of certain courses can save you money when attending college. So if you have dual enrollment or anything like that, the credits at community colleges are less expensive. So if you go to GGC, it's like $100 per credit hour. And then at UGA, it's like $700 per credit hour. So if you can take it at the community college and transfer it over, that's great. But not all credits are created equal. So what I mean by that is if you're going from a Georgia school to like New Hampshire, they don't necessarily transfer. You have to check with the school. What are 3 types of money you should use when paying for college, and what types of money are scholarships and grants? So scholarships and grants are the monies that you want to use. You could also do work study and then loans. Work study is where the school pays you to actually work, and sometimes you can also like do things for the school and they'll drop your tuition. It just depends on, what your major and that kind of stuff. That gets a little tricky if you don't know what you're doing. All right, federal student loans. This is what majority of the people do. Yes, you can take out loans. Yes, sucks if you have to repay everything. Okay. So what's the average amount of student debt for college graduates? Looking over this little info thing, it's about $30,000. 30,000 is about the price of a newish car. Okay. Two, consolidating multiple student loans into one payment can help lower your monthly payment. So, but what is the downside? So the downside is you can't undo it. Okay. Your friend tells you after doing all the research, they've chosen the graduated repayment plan. What assumption are they making about their future income? That you're going to earn more the longer you work. It might seem tempting to choose an income-driven repayment plan since the remaining balance is forgiven after 20, 25 years. What are some drawbacks you can think of if you were to choose an income-driven plan where you're making higher payments? So on this one, you're going to pay more interest. Okay. So you really don't want to do the whole income-driven repayment because it really does depend on what you do. And if you lose your job, then it really causes some problems. Okay. So you've got a repayment plan ready to go, but then something happens. Maybe you lost your job, exactly, or suffered some other kind of hardship that'll keep you from being able to make your normal student loans. What function do both deferment and forbearance each serve? So they stop the payment on the loan. So deferment means that you're postponing that payment. So during deferment, no interest is being added. During forbearance, interest is added. Okay, so there's a difference between direct subsidized loan and direct unsubsidized loan. Now you can read these over. Again, there is a difference. There's also direct plus loans. And that they all do something different. So you need to make sure that before you hit, yes, I want this, you need to make sure that you are paying attention to what you're agreeing to. So direct subsidized loan, this is a loan where interest is not charged while in school. Okay, so who's eligible? This is going to be the student, and you have to be an undergrad. Okay, so undergrad is where you're going to get your bachelor's. Graduate school would be master's or doctorate. Okay. Now, what is the maximum amount you can borrow? That's $5,500. Okay. And then the current interest rate is 4.99%. That's a high interest rate, especially when you're having to pay that much back. Loans belong to the education department. So they belong to the education department. Okay. Now, direct unsubsidized loans. This is where interest is to be charged from the start. So interest is charged from start. And who's eligible? Again, this could be undergrad and postgrad. So this could be doctorate or whatever. And you can borrow up to $20,500. And this is 6.54%. And this belongs to the education department as well. But this is where people start getting a little sticky. This is where they get that $100,000 in loans, is because they take out the full amount and then they just, rack it up. Okay, direct plus loans are going to be interest is charged from the start, but must have good credit history. So it just depends on how your credit is. Good credit. And if you don't know how to build credit, probably buy or get a credit card and then start building that credit. Because if you don't, you're not gonna have a credit score. Okay. The current interest rate on this one is 7.54%. That's huge comparative. The cost of attendance is how much you can borrow. So literally you can charge the entire thing to this loan. A lot of people do this for private schools, and this is for parents and under post. So undergrad, post grad. So these are for parents, these are for people who have children. Okay. So that is the notes for 2.1. I'll post the 2.2 very shortly. And I'm also working on grading your test right now. If you didn't take your test, you make sure that you come see me on Tuesday.